Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back on the Roger Stone Shows. Two very interesting political developments. Lara Trump, the president's daughter-in-law, says she is now weighing a race for the seat of North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis, who not only voted to torpedo the nomination of Eagle Ed Martin to be the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, but also voted in the U.S. Senate against the big, beautiful bill. Anyone who wants to go back and look will see that I called for Lara Trump to become a candidate for the Senate back when Tillis destroyed the nomination of Martin. I think this is welcome news. She could win this nomination and hold that seat for the Republican Party. At the same time, an intriguing interview with the Financial Times where Eric Trump, the president's son, says that he has not ruled out a 2028 race for president. I think the political path would be an easy one, he says. I think I could do it. Would I want my kids to live the same experience I have? Only time will tell. Find that to be very intriguing. In fact, I love the idea. The point, of course, is we're going to have a wide open contest for the nomination. Normally, the vice president, J.D. Vance, who I think's done an excellent job in his current role, would have a leg up for the nomination. But even President Trump himself mentioned Marco Rubio as a potential candidate. Now, Eric Trump. I still think Tulsi Gabbard is an intriguing possibility. I think Robert Kennedy, who I admire greatly, would still like to be president, but I don't see how he switches to the Republican Party, and there is no path for his nomination in the party in which I believe he is still actually a member, the Democrat Party. He's doing a remarkable job in his efforts to make America healthy again. Joining us now is Eric Early. He is an attorney, a husband, father, businessman, son of a Marine. He has been an articulate critic of the Democrat Party, had the courage to run against Adam Schiff, perhaps the single most corrupt member of Congress in the history of that institution. Also has been an articulate critic of Gavin Newsom. He has a terrific piece that was originally published by Red State entitled Big Daddy Takes Newsom to the Woodshed. Eric Early, welcome to the Roger Stone Show.
Always great being with you, Roger.
My hat is off to you because, as you know, I like people who get in the arena rather than just carping from the sidelines, and you have certainly done that on behalf of your conservative principles and your support for the president. Gavin Newsom, I thought, was going to try to move to the center. He had Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk on his podcast. I thought he was trying to shed his identity as an extreme leftist. But now it seems that he's moved the other way, thinks the only way to bury his embarrassing record as governor of California and perhaps even supplant the real frontrunner, Kamala Harris, if she chooses to run for president again, perhaps after a race for governor of California. He now seems to be trying to redefine himself as the anti-Trump. Tell us what's going on here.
Well, listen, Newsom can't help himself. He's the worst governor that California's ever had. And, as I say in that opinion piece, Big Daddy Takes Newsom to the Woodshed, it talks all about his record of failure that has led California to be among the worst of every major indicator of the health of a state in the nation. And it's all because of Newsom and this what I call a Politburo, which is the California legislature, which has what's known as a supermajority of so-called Democrats, meaning that there's so many of them up there that the valiant Republicans are trying to stop and can't stop any bill that they and Newsom want. And they call themselves Democrats, and Newsom calls himself a Democrat, but frankly, they're socialists and they're American Marxists, and they know that if they actually call themselves what they really are, nobody'd elect them. Even the blind Democrat voting public in California just blindly votes Democrat every time. So they've hijacked the name, and and they've taken down our state in the process.
It really is quite extraordinary. The state that gave us Ronald Reagan, the Golden State, a state where parts of the state have near perfect weather year round, a beautiful state, can be this bankrupt, this dangerous, this politically correct, and this destroyed. Do you believe, as I do, that if Kamala Harris chooses to run for governor as a kind of a stepping stone to the presidential nomination again, that she would probably be fairly easily elected?
Well, actually, Roger, I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Because, yes, there's a couple million people who would just blindly vote for her in California. But you know, back in the day when she was elected Attorney General of the state of California and U.S. Senator from the state of California, most Californians had no clue who she was. And so the folks who vote Democrat automatically, which is the majority in California, they saw a woman of color, they saw a woman, she's got the name Kamala, and they believed the BS advertising, they automatically voted for her. But now people know who she is. And so, you know, there's a couple other people from her party that are also running. I don't think highly of any of them either. You know, you got this lunatic Katie Porter. You've got a couple others, Becerra, who's a disaster, Javier Becerra, etc. But I don't think Kamala Harris is going to be an automatic shoo-in if she runs for governor in California. And we all know now, you know, the eyes are going to be on her if she runs, and she just can't help but sticking her foot in her mouth, you know?
You may well be right. Obviously, this path has not worked in the past. Richard Nixon famously ran for governor in 1962 while having really no interest in being governor as a way to keep his presidential prospects alive. It worked in the long term, but not in the short term. He was not the nominee in 1964, but did make a miraculous comeback in 1968. I think she has no interest in being governor, no particular knowledge of state issues. On the other hand, I don't think she has any particular knowledge, period.
Correct. I agree with that.
But Newsom, I still think if she were governor, he'd have a hard time getting around her. This is a guy who locked up virtually all Californians, except for, of course, famously himself, refused to open the schools for a year longer than many other states, imposed vaccine mandates, shuttered places of worship during COVID. Meanwhile, he has defrauded the people of California out of at least $25 billion. This guy is truly, truly dangerous. And watching him talk is almost amusing. He talks with his hands. My good friend Vincent Oshana, the comedian, does a killer impression of him that just makes me laugh every time I say it.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got a couple knowledgeable people now who've spoken to some, mental health professionals, and the conclusion that I'm hearing more and more is that Newsom is a sociopath. And, I have to look up what that means exactly, but the people who are coming up with that conclusion are very knowledgeable in terms of mental health issues. But the guy is a disaster. And I call the article Big Daddy Takes Newsom to the Woodshed. By the way, I called Trump Big Daddy before the head of NATO called him Daddy, because, as you know, my article was done a week before that. And but what I was talking about was, what was going on out here when Trump thankfully brought in the National Guard and the Marines to guard the federal buildings and to protect ICE, who were being battered by these psychos out here who were going nuts. Newsom went haywire. It was just an endless tantrum from Gavin Newsom. And that's what he does. Whenever something doesn't go his way, the man throws a tantrum.
Yeah, and it is childish. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Eric Early. In my opinion, one of the smartest guys around when it comes to California politics. Please don't touch that dial.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. 77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
The Roger Stone Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're back with California Attorney Eric Early, a shrewd analyst of the California political scene, and also obviously a member of the bar. It's interesting. Governor Gavin Newsom was soundly defeated in court after the liberal Ninth Circuit ruled that President Trump could retain control of California's National Guard. Given the precedents of Orville Faubus in Arkansas, George Wallace in Alabama, neither of whom had asked for the National Guard when Eisenhower and then later Kennedy activated the Guard, was this just grandstanding on his part? Did he know that he had no prospect of actually winning in this legal matter?
You know, Roger, that's a great question. 95% of what Gavin Newsom does is grandstanding, and he has an attorney general in California named Rob Bonta, who is a closet Marxist. Actually, not that much in the closet. Newsom picked him out of obscurity to replace Becerra when Becerra went off to Biden's administration. And this toady named Bonta files anything Newsom wants, spends millions of dollars of our non-existent taxpayer dollars because we're essentially a financially bankrupt state, and sues anybody that Newsom wants. I think he's on his 25th lawsuit against Trump this time around. The last time around, Becerra sued Trump, I think 120 times or something, just ridiculous. They lose most of these cases. So he has Bonta file this lawsuit against Trump because Trump correctly brought in National Guard and Marines. And I publicly predicted the minute it was filed that best case scenario for Newsom, some friendly judge of his in the Ninth Circuit would grant his relief, but it would, on emergency appeal, the Court of Appeal would overturn it, and that's exactly what happened. Trump had every right to do what he did because he understands. I firmly believe President Trump understands that Newsom is this spoiled, privileged, child almost with terrible judgment. We saw the way Newsom handled the 2020 riots in California during the so-called Summer of Love, where huge chunks of Los Angeles were allowed to burn to the ground. Lots of law enforcement were injured by these anarchists, these Antifa and BLM anarchists. And I firmly believe Trump knew that if he didn't step in and do what he did, we would be looking at another Summer of Love out here, thanks to Newsom and this other, terrible one, Karen Bass.
Yeah, I did look up sociopath while we were on the break. I think you got it exactly right. This stunt that he pulled, we're claiming that Tom Homan, the borders are threatened to arrest him. If you go walk back through it, Homan never said anything of the kind. He said that public officials who harbor illegals or assist them in evading arrest would be charged. He never named Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom said, "Oh, you're threatening to arrest me. Come on, arrest me, Big Tom." Another publicity stunt. This guy's the king of publicity stunts. Now he's suing Fox News, claiming that the network defamed him for lying about a phone call with Trump when Trump produced the phone call records, proving that the call actually took place. There's nothing this guy won't do for a headline.
Exactly. And, listen, Roger, you're a political genius. And, when you have been a governor your policies have destroyed one of the greatest states, if not the former greatest state in the nation. I'm being biased towards California back in the day when it was the Golden State. It was just incredible. When you've destroyed all your policies, what choices do you have if you still think you have this political career and you want to run for president? You got to figure out another way to make the public believe that none of that exists. And part of that is this constant stream of lunacy that we're seeing from Newsom.
Yeah, your piece here, Big Daddy takes Newsom to the woodshed. Pardon me. Terrific piece. You really kind of summed this up. His failed economic policies put California on the verge of bankruptcy. He has destroyed California's once thriving fossil fuel industry, causing the highest gas prices in the country. You have the worst and most woke schools in the nation, the highest taxes and the building costs of the nation, one of the highest crime rates in the nation. He has defunded county and local police forces statewide, allows boys to play in girls' sports. Teachers are prevented from telling parents of their kids' sexual confusion while being encouraged to sexualize every minute of their educations. He's destroyed single-family suburban zoning laws. And, of course, he built the multi-billion-dollar bullet train to nowhere. Sanctuary states is the declaration to protect alien criminals, billions in health care payments for non-Americans, an explosion of the homelessness. This guy's record is an absolute disaster, and he will do for America exactly what he did for California if he were to ever be elected.
Absolutely. And what's amazing is we still have millions of Californians keep voting for people like Newsom and for these far left that make up our Politburo, which is otherwise known as the state legislature. And yet they have no idea that all the horribles that are befalling them come from what they have voted for. Roger, 2 years ago, with a stroke of a pen, they did away with single-family zoning laws in California. That means goodbye suburbia. If you're living in any kind of suburban neighborhood in California, your neighbor decides to sell a house, a developer now can just buy the house and put up a couple-story apartment unit right next door as long as it has a certain minimum amount of low-income family housing units in it. Just imagine what that does. That is Newsom to a T, and it is just what we've seen all around this state. The taxes, the defunding cops, state and local, crime going through the roof, emptying prisons. He is a disaster, and listen, he's going to run for president, but I firmly believe he will lose.
All right, I want to thank our guest, Eric Early. Eric, you have an open invitation anytime here on The Roger Stone Show. Tell us about your own political plans. I want to thank you so much for joining us today on The Roger Stone Show.
Thanks for having me, Roger.
The Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. 77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.